There's so many games coming out of my favorite genres this year, and a lot of roguelites. I'm gonna do my best not to talk about too many Survivor games in these videos, but a couple roguelites did make the cut. Otherwise, as a Diablo-like and dungeon crawler fan, I've been dying for more games in this genre, and there is tons on the way. Here's my favorite dungeon crawler demos from Steam Next Fest for February 2026, after trying more than 50 game demos. First up is a fascinating take on the Diablo formula. Darkhaven is a game being developed by quote-unquote many of the original creators of Diablo and Diablo 2 who founded and staffed the studio Moonbeast Productions. This game pits you in a familiar environment to those used to Diablo, but allows you to change everything. You've got your typical movement and combat with progression, loot, skills, but then there's procedurally generated, dynamically responsive worlds. You can build things up, you can destroy the very ground you walk on, and stumble into entire new dungeons underneath your feet. See a big baddie? Maybe instead of walking up to it, you just trap it in a crater. The goal is for no two worlds to be alike and to keep the experience replayable and fresh every time. You've got extra movement tech like dodging, jumping, swimming, climbing, and even gliding. The goal is to remove all guardrails, forcing you to play a specific way and allow for entire world-altering events. In the demo, you can play on some online test servers or in an offline world. The servers will likely have already done most of the introductory things, and thus you will be quite underleveled, but I had fun running around and exploring. I'm definitely keeping my eye on this. Moonbeast Productions is running a Kickstarter to continue funding this game, and they're about halfway to their $500,000 goal, with about 22 days left at the time of recording, so maybe check that out if this is a game you want to see brought to life, but otherwise, go check out the demo. Dverghold is one of many old-school turn-based tile dungeon crawlers to have demos this year. I'm honestly shocked that this genre is seeing popularity again. The opening is super old-school and reminds me of Gauntlet a bit, which I love. Then you do a lot of reading and recruit your party of 3 to venture into the dungeons to rescue some people or something. Balance out your party classes, take on this first-person turn-based experience, and battle the undead, ravenous canines, and even really cool spore-based creatures, all while solving puzzles and navigating the dungeons. There's chance rolls for just about everything you do here, and this game is hard. But if this is the kind of genre you've been waiting for a comeback in, you're eating well this year. The experience in Dverghold feels very polished, though the degree to which it is punishing might be off-putting for some. I think I like Underkeep's attempt at this style of game better than Dverghold. This is another first-person turn-based tile dungeon crawler in the same vein. The demo is short but enjoyable. Gather your party of 4 and navigate the woods and dungeons, searching for loot, rescuing travelers, and discovering secrets. You've got to make some clever decisions, and each of your different classes can influence what decision options are available to you. This was a lot easier than Dverghold, making it much more of a passive play style of game, something that would be fun to do while watching or listening to something else in the background, or to keep you occupied when you need to multitask for your sanity. I'll definitely be checking out Underkeep more at release. Echoes of Myth is actually a really neat top-down ARPG and roguelite. Yes, I'm sorry. It has a low-poly visual style, but a really neat setting. Effectively, reality is collapsing in on itself, and different timelines, worlds, realities are all colliding together, resulting in crazy things, like you being a samurai, fighting zombies who are throwing grenades at you while you pass by vending machines. You fight with some basic face button skills and have to manage your health and stamina. There's some of that typical roguelite leveling in here, but you've also got Diablo-like upgrade paths too. The progression feels organic and rewarding, almost Hades-like in that regard. The combat is a little simple, but engaging enough to keep me going. When you die, you spawn as a different character type, with different weapons and abilities available across the different realities. So lots of different options here. I can see myself pouring hours into this on my Steam Deck. Oh my word. So rarely does a game make a big promise like this and deliver in ways I feel like I haven't seen in decades. Ardenfall is a first-person RPG that claims to take inspiration from Morrowind. Big claims that are rarely lived up to, but right away, I'm a believer. For once, we actually get an alien world with crazy plants and terrain that we haven't seen since 2002. Classic visuals paired with a brilliant art direction make for enticing environments that pull you in and make you want to explore every corner. This is a proper D&D style RPG with character building, feats, ability scores, and so on. Chance rolls for most things that you do. You've got magic, melee, a hotbar, glory kills when you kill certain enemies, and combat that feels significantly better than even the best that Skyrim had to offer. Hell, you can even choose to fight the town NPCs and get sent to jail for it. Plus, there's a photo mode and retro mode filters, keeping in line with the PS1 and PS2 visual themes of many games in this category this year. Ardenfall is here to show Bethesda that all you had to do was this, and I cannot wait for it to release. HARK the GHOUL is an incredible little first-person dungeon crawler RPG with a distinct Bloodborne inspiration. Beautiful PS1 style visuals paired with a mysterious world and danger around every corner, plus a neat level up system, established some of the most exciting vibes I've felt for any game in years. For my full thoughts on this demo, see my original Steam Next Fest video for this month, linked below. Crack in the Dark deserves a highlight for taking a very unique approach to the 3D action-adventure, platformer, dungeon crawler, and so on genre. You play as a blind cave dweller who only sees via echoes. A crack has emerged in your cave world and creepy things have started to come through, and you've been tasked with investigating and finding out what's going on. You draw your own map on a tablet as you go as to not lose your way. Punch and whip enemies, use your whip for echolocation, parry hits, of course, and balance your stamina as you navigate damp, dark caves and discover the secrets that lie below. I think this is a wonderfully cool approach to such a game, but by the end of my patience with the demo, I was quite literally stumbling around in the dark, unable to find my way, and I don't personally find that to be a good time. I think there are tons of people that will think this game is awesome and enjoy it, but I'm not sure I'll return to it myself. Nox Mortalis is sick. This is yet another PS1-inspired visual experience, a first-person dungeon-crawling RPG with crafting. And you've got to read the pretend paper manual before playing to actually know what you're supposed to do. This is a bit of a survival game where you have to manage your energy and the time spent, with the clock in the top right progressing each day as you get things done. You're a prisoner who has been sent to this island to kill the demon lord who lives underneath, but you gotta get strong enough first. Pace your actions like sprinting and attacking to make them more effective. Collect loot to build up better gear and dive further into the dungeon. Once you enter the dungeon, you progress floor by floor as you acquire dungeon keys from enemies to unlock each subsequent floor, with enemies getting more difficult and the floors getting bigger and creepier as you progress. But be careful, if you attempt to go back a floor, it will simply exit you from the dungeon entirely and start you over. Whoops. Creepy crawlies lurk around every corner and you gotta be careful. If you die, you don't lose your gear, but you do lose the experience that you racked up that you haven't used at a fire yet to level up, and you don't get it back. There's lots of crafting options, lots of cool loot to find, and beautiful ambient music backing your delves. This is a game of patience, but one that kept its hooks into me for way too long. Dungeons of Dusk is another first-person dungeon crawler set in the boomer shooter Dusk's universe and style. So you've got different kinds of enemies and chainsaw guys, guns, and other such stuff from that game. There's a neat skill tree, and this is one game you can play entirely with a keyboard. But it is far more sluggish to move and pace around than the other demos in this style. So be prepared for a slow time, especially if you're used to playing the shooter Dusk, which is very fast. Stillwinter is another PS1 style RPG with a neat CRT shader that feels a lot like Nox Mortalis. But in this game, the shtick is that you have to survive an unbearable cold, managing hunger levels and cold levels on top of everything else. You have to collect logs for your fire, keep your torch out as much as possible while out to slow your freeze, and fight monsters. Your inventory space, both while out exploring and at home, is very limited, so you must make deliberate choices about what's most important to have with you on any given day. You can't sleep without enough wood on the fire or food in your belly, so you really have to focus on the resource management with this one. It's quite the cozy and, dare I say, chill experience though. Dark Sentinel is a neat demo of what could be a game, but I feel like it's still very early. The engine on display here is sweet though, providing some old school visuals for a first-person dungeon crawling RPG akin to the Elder Scrolls. You've got melee and magic, and the magic is heavily used for utility here, from lighting torches or oil spills with fireball, or unfreezing doors for some reason, to putting out fires with ice balls to help open up areas. Combat actually felt pretty neat here, and the available puzzles were simple enough but natural feeling for the environment. There's a skill tree for leveling up and cool things to collect, but the UI is a janky mess, and I reached a point where I could just never get the required key to progress in the level after searching every nook and cranny on the map twice in 2 different play sessions. So I don't know if I'm supposed to progress or not. It needs a ton of polish, but this is the exact kind of game engine that I want more games with, so I will be keeping an eye on it. Crystalfall is a classic Diablo-style game that I have also been dying to see more of. I'm so glad we're getting more of these games now. Instead of the typical grimdark setting, this takes place in a different kind of fantasy setting, where you play as animal characters, and there's robots and guns, but more of a steampunk almost kind of style, not sci-fi. You've got 3 classes to pick from for the demo, a Diablo-like UI, and you fight, cast spells, escape dungeons, collect loot, and level up your skills. What more could you ask for? The game will support online and offline play, though only offline is available in the demo at the moment. For skills, you have to acquire them like loot, actually, with skill boxes being drops you can get the actual skills from to equip to your character. And of course, there's some RNG applied to what skills you could find. Then skill keys being drops you can use to level up those skills. And then skill crests being used to enhance the skills even further once you have used enough skill keys on the skill box. It makes sense in practice, even if it's weird to explain. It's an interesting system, and that is stacked with a pretty terrifying talent tree. There's lots to do here. This game is sick, and I will be playing the crap out of it when it's released. This game is amazing. Diskette Dungeon is like the Matrix crossed with an old school dungeon crawler. You play as a 1980s or 1990s hacker man with your disaster home lab room that has a portal opened up in it. Equip a can of soda, a computer mouse, or other similar things, and enter the dungeon stored on your various floppy disks to find and fix corrupt data and escape. The game has a beautiful pixel shader effect applied to it, which both highlights the cyberpunky vibes of your home base and the fantasy dungeons quite well. Your chosen item turns into a fantasy weapon of some sort as you fight your way through the dungeon collecting corrupt data. I found some of the fighting quite difficult, as I only ever managed to get melee weapons, and it's near impossible to dodge the arrows of ranged characters enough to get hits in on them. But this game looks and feels incredible, and I need it in my life right now. Also, watch out for exploding barrels. Never before have I seen such a clear original Demon's Souls inspired game as The Bearer and the Last Flame. This game is a third-person dungeon crawling Souls-like in every single element, from the combat to the mysterious and aloof world building to the character creation and incoherent item selection. Even the visuals look straight out of the PS3, or honestly, something about it is reminding me more of the Xbox 360. I know they're the same generation, but there's just something here that feels more Xbox 360 than PS3. If you spend enough time with both systems, you probably know what I mean. If not, I would just sound crazy. There's a lot of characters available in the game itself, it looks like, though there's only one to play in the demo. This guy looks like Deadpool without a suit on. You've got slow melee attacks, parries and dodge rolls, loot, attributes, weapons to equip, and souls that you lose on death but can recover. If I had not spent the time I have with Demon's Souls, I would believe that this was that game, if you just kind of showed it to me out of nowhere. They've got a cool world going on so far, so I look forward to seeing if I can make any meaningful progress in it. Crossing a dungeon crawler with a typing game was not on my radar, but 3 Verses is one of my favorites from this year. This original part of the game was developed during LSD Jam in 2023, but they've packaged it up with new content as well for a Steam release. This game has peak PlayStation 1 vibes, and you play the role of delivering the final lines of verses to struggling poets from deities and the world. You have a classic word processor to take notes of what people say as you solve puzzles and riddles and figure out the lines to give to the poets. But it's still a dungeon crawler, so you take part in turn-based combat through typing. You can punch, but you can also cast spells by typing out their names, such as heal or lightning. Hell, there's even a fishing typing game where you collect fish or, a freaking Mach 10 to use as a spell because why not? Labyrinth Trailblazer is another turn-based dungeon crawler tile game, but with some roguelike elements and slightly different movement controls from the other games. It's got more modern, smooth pixel art style and adorable fantasy music. Here you collect party members at the campfires you heal at as you travel to build up your team and navigate deeper in the dungeon. Of course, choose your battles wisely, as if you're not well equipped, you will get wrecked. Gluttony takes the dungeon crawler formula and mixes it with some beat 'em up, or shall I say eat 'em up, gameplay in a different setting. Fight your way through food hell, smashing and eating enemies to steal and combine their abilities. When you're all full, you can spit them back out for massive damage at the cost of losing these abilities and being weaker temporarily until you eat again. So you gotta choose when to use that belly power wisely. Feast on enemies, level up, and repeat. The cute art style really works well with this one. This is another roguelite instead of a traditional game, but good for some casual hours of fun. Martyr, my last game here, is another classic Diablo-like with the immediate UI and mouse-based movement and such, making that very clear. Nothing I've played has felt quite as classic Diablo as this demo. It's got a neat pixel shader on the visuals, which I like, but I would like to see it made optional. You click to move, attack, dodge, loot, and look for chests in dungeons. I will say this feels more like an engine demo than a game demo, as the map is broken and the world is quite empty, and I spent a very long time wandering around in the dark nothingness, not being able to find anything resembling my quest objectives. But it established the basics: the quest system, the combat, the looting, leveling, waypoints, and stashes, and so on. This is the kind of engine I want to keep playing in forever, so I'm excited to see what this turns into. Dungeon crawlers are back in full force this year, and I feel like a kid in the candy store. What was your favorite? What did I miss? Comment below or chat in the forums. Check out my other 2 Steam Next Fest demo discs from this month for even more recommendations, and remember to be kind, rewind.